The tree that waited, the power of patience and resilience. Summer in Willow Ridge was in full swing. Lemonade stands popped up on corners, cicadas hummed in the trees, and porch swings creaked under the weight of small-town conversations. But 13-year-old Evan Green wasn't in the mood for sunshine. He had just failed another math quiz, lost his spot as the starting pitcher for the local baseball team, and worst of all, his science fair project. A homemade solar-powered car barely rolled 2 feet before falling apart in front of the whole class. It felt like everything he tried fell apart. Frustrated and red-faced, Evan kicked a rock across the dirt road as he passed by old Mr. Harlan's house, the oldest man on the block, and probably in all of Willow Ridge. Mr. Harlan was always sitting in his wooden chair under a giant tree in his front yard, sipping iced tea and watching the world move at a pace he seemed to understand better than anyone else. "Boy," Mr. Harlan called, not unkindly, "if you keep kicking that rock like it's the world's fault, your toes'll break before your pride does." Evan stopped, huffed, shrugged. "I'm just tired of trying," he muttered. Mr. Harlan gestured to the empty chair beside him. "Sit. I've got a story. One you might need more than you think." Evan dropped into the old rocking chair. The giant tree they sat under gave shade, even in the high heat. But it wasn't just any tree. This one was different, towering, thick-trunked, and far older than any house in town. Mr. Harlan looked up at it like a grandfather would his grandchild. "That tree," he said, "folks used to call it deadwood." Evan blinked. "What?" Mr. Harlan nodded. "That's right. About 40 years ago, this very tree stood here, leafless, colorless, dry as bones, for a decade. No green, no blooms, not a bird would land in it." Evan looked up again. The tree now was healthy, full of dark green leaves that danced in the breeze, with deep roots and a bark like armor. "So what changed?" he asked. Mr. Harlan sipped his tea. "Let me tell you. Back in the early 80s, Harlan began, we had the worst drought this side of the Mississippi. Ground cracked, wells ran dry, crops shriveled, and this tree, it stopped blooming. Year after year, nothing but bare branches." He paused, his voice low and steady. "Some neighbors wanted it chopped down, said it was an eyesore, useless. Even I started to think it was just taking up space." Evan listened, wide-eyed. "But no one cut it?" "Nope," said Harlan. "The old town gardener, Miss Annie Lou, she said, 'Don't you touch it. It's just waiting for its season.' We thought she was crazy." A decade passed, Evan. 10 years. And then, one spring, one morning, like magic, little green buds popped out, Mr. Harlan said, eyes gleaming with memory. The whole town came to see it. By the end of that month, it had blossomed into the most beautiful tree anyone had ever seen. Birds returned, bees buzzed, kids played under its shade again. He smiled. It wasn't just alive, it was thriving, stronger than ever. Evan leaned back, trying to imagine a tree waiting 10 years without giving up. Mr. Harlan continued, tapping the ground with his cane. "What we didn't know back then was this. That whole time during the drought, the tree wasn't dying. It was growing roots, deeper, wider, finding water far below where other plants couldn't reach." He looked Evan in the eye. "Sometimes, when nothing seems to be happening on the outside, the most important growth is happening where no one can see it." Evan was quiet for a moment. "So, you're saying my failures are just roots?" Mr. Harlan chuckled. "Exactly. Every missed pitch, every broken project, every mistake, they're not the end. They're the start of something deep. You just have to wait for your season." That night, Evan didn't slam his backpack into the corner or complain about math. He sat on the porch with his dad and asked for help with formulas. He practiced his pitching in the backyard, slower, more focused. He rebuilt his solar car, not in a rush, but piece by piece. Weeks passed, then months. The new school year arrived, and with it came the science fair. Evan entered again. This time his car didn't just move, it won second place. On the walk home, he passed the old tree and gave it a nod. It swayed gently in the wind, as if nodding back. Years later, Evan became a high school science teacher, one of those rare ones who told stories as often as he gave lectures. In every first week of class, he'd take his students outside, under the wide shade of a tree that had stood through more than one generation. He'd place his hand on the bark and say, "There was once a tree that waited 10 years before blooming. It taught me everything I know about patience and never giving up." And every student who sat under that tree heard the same lesson. Struggle doesn't mean failure. It means you're growing something deep. Just wait. Your season is coming. When nothing seems to be happening, sometimes the most important growth is happening inside you. Be patient. Your bloom will come.